You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, what do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
It was me and Myles' agent, right? And I just felt like we were working towards a deal. But again, you know, when you're unrestricted, as soon as you hear a number that you feel like is good for you, then he had to, I think he felt like he had to take that.
Were you blindsided?
Blindsided? We did not see Milwaukee as that team. And, you know, we would have been open on a sign and trade because it's sort of mutually beneficial, but we didn't get to that point, unfortunately. I saw Shams tweet it, and that's how I knew that Myles was taking that. But again, that's not, it's his opportunity, it's his right to say, hey, that's it, and I'm going in a different direction. But it was never acrimonious. It was always pleasant going back and forth. I think that there was a number he was trying to hit, and we were, you know, I think we were in the ballpark, but that's my opinion. It must not have been for him.
Kevin Pritchard right there a little bit earlier, and there's a lot to talk about on that today. We'll do so. Dustin DePurik joins us at the Star coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. And over the weekend, you learned that Jay Huff was brought in via trade of a second-rounder. I think a pair of second-rounders, but he was a backup to the backup. Actually gave some interesting minutes early. The clock did dwindle in his time with the Grizzlies late this season. And, you know, they had an El Foldo of mammoth proportions as we kind of watched the talented team go down the drain. We'll talk a little bit more about Jay Huff coming up in a minute, too. And what was a fantastic weekend, hopefully for you and all of us. And we are back on this Monday. Lots of reminders today, lots of conversation today. And certainly the Hoops Talk continues. And this is something that goes back to when we had Bobby Marks on the show Wednesday. And Bobby Marks and I are talking about the Pacers situation and Myles and the salary cap and the apron and what they're trying to do compared to what they don't want to do. And the end result, Myles being reported as a guy at that time, now it's official, but then at that time, in signing with Milwaukee, if you remember, Bobby Marks said, this is something that's never been done before. And he wasn't talking about the whole stretch and wave. That's been done before. But to that financial magnitude, to that level, it had never been done before, meaning that the Bucks were incredibly proactive about who they wanted and how they wanted to go about this. There is a lot hanging out, without question. So he started it with that. And then if you remember, and it had rolled for like the last 5 days in the promo, he said that Myles' team did not give the Pacers a chance to counteroffer. So we're kind of sitting here wondering. Now, for a lot of you, it's okay because I think a lot of you, if not most of you, will say, I'll say most of you, I think it's fair, did not want to see him back anyway. I mean, really, regardless, most of you did not want to see him back anyway. Some did, some kind of understood, others didn't. But what we need to find out, and hopefully one of these days we can, I don't know by that time when we do find out if anybody will care any longer, because really on both ends, you've got a season here upcoming off 7 games in an NBA Finals for the first time in 25 years of the NBA Finals, to where it is now. I don't view it this way. Others probably will. This is essentially one of those kind of do-overs It's whatever happens, happens. This is like the Mike Damone special this season coming up. Whatever happens, your toes are still tapping. Why? Because you know Tyrese Halliburton will return next year. That's something else we found out. It is secure that Tyrese Halliburton will miss the entirety of the upcoming season. But it is. Whatever happens, your toes are still tapping. This is a different level of patience being preached. And believe me, I would have to think as a sports fan in this market, you have since long been tired of hearing anybody's speech or anybody preach patience. Because you guys have been the most patient group of all time. Maybe outside of Cincinnati. And they're just slep rock in general. I thought you guys were kind of going down the path of slep rockism. But patience has definitely been a virtue with your professional teams around here. It has been preached and it is coming. It's kind of, to me, it's reminiscent of when anybody talks about, because I watched it last night. I watched U.S. soccer in Mexico and what are the Gold Cup, CONCACAF, whatever the hell it is, thing that took place in Houston. I do get a smidge patriotic. I want to see Team USA do well. And it was so reminiscent. And believe me, my opinion doesn't matter. I don't pay attention enough to know. The only thing I do know is it was reminiscent about really every other Team USA soccer match I've ever watched, where you get a little bit excited and then the other team spends all their time down near your goal and you end up losing. And then as an end result, it is, well, now you're on the doorstep. But the Pacers were accurate. They were on the doorstep. I think that was even surprising to them going back a couple of years, being that close. You go from 0 to 60 in a second, and you have that dynamic first ever in-season tournament. I'm going to set the stage for the season. You have the NBA All-Star Game here. There is so much celebrating going on. It was new and it was good. And it was weird because you were getting that after patience had been preached. But yet they were giving it to you right away. They go, hey, here it is. Finally, all right. With the Colts, this has been going on forever. Oh, you got to be patient with this and blah, blah, blah. Same old thing over and over and over again to the form in which it absolutely wears you out. But the Pacers delivered. They delivered last year in a surprising fashion. And I don't care what anybody says, it is sucky when you get all the way that far and you lose in the Game 7 of an NBA Finals. But they delivered this year, too. I don't care what anybody says. You're going to get clown after clown that's going to say, oh, the old Ricky Bobby thing, if you're not first, you're last. There was nothing last at all about this group. And if you think otherwise, then unfortunately you may be just such a mammoth dumbass, you cannot be saved. But that is the flat truth. That's what you witnessed. There was a reason behind it. It's interesting because so many this past year, and I hear from so many that did not have a legitimate opportunity to watch this team on a nightly basis because of whatever your television content supplier, you're at that mercy. So it was really new and fresh to a lot of you out there. And man, it hit big. And I understand the disappointment. I understand going into next season without the team's best player. I still have a great deal of belief. I have a great deal of belief in those guys not to be as bad as some might suggest. Not to get back to the NBA Finals. Hell, not to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And the one thing that we do know that has really fit this organization, this team, especially recently, very well is the underdog status. Seems like they thrive in the underdog status. I don't know where it's been. But you go back to our conversation last week with Bobby Marks, and he had mentioned that, well, first things first, Milwaukee went out and did something. They were as proactive as you were going to be. Everybody's pointing the finger saying you're nuts. What's their general manager? Is it John Horst? Is that his name? I mean, this guy, this is the classic boom or bust right here. Either this thing's going to go over big and it is a reclamation, or it's going to be ugly and you're going to look around and they're no longer going to point to Phoenix and James Jones and what he did and bringing in guys like Bradley Beal, or what they're doing out there in the Ainge family in Salt Lake City right now with their return on investment. This is going to look awful. Or even how the Knicks handled their coaching situation or how they botched it. It's going to look much worse than that if this team, you think about the expectations. So Bobby Marks said at the end of the conversation, the most interesting portion of this is that the Myles Turner team, his reps did not give the Pacers an opportunity to counteroffer. And after talking to folks over the weekend, what that tells them, and Kevin Pritchard's not going to say it, you don't expect him to say it, there's nobody more political, in the spotlight of a camera. He comes out and says what needs to be said. And that's what a guy of leadership, and especially the quality of leadership he has provided for this team, that's what you do. It's work for him. So why would you go against the grain? You're not going to come out and shake your fist and go, hey, damn it, Myles Turner left and blah, 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 and we got screwed and we got hosed. You're not going to say any of that. He said, we're going to go back to work. Sometimes there's a better offer, and that's what happens in unrestricted free agency. And really said so many of the same things that Bobby Marks said on this show last Wednesday. In fact, we have a promo that runs with that in mind here, too. It is run basically the last 4 or 5 days. But the thing that I want to know, and as I mentioned, I don't think we're going to know anytime soon, is exactly what's taking place here. And I know we all have theories. You guys have some theories. I know that I have theories. I have theories that, a lot of your theories, I'll start with yours. All right, you're the guest. Your theories are 33, the former 33, got lowballed. The other theories are that maybe they didn't want to go that far anyway, and now it's convenient to say it. I don't think that's the case. But I can tell you how they feel, and I can tell you how I feel. I just think that Myles Turner decided that this was the time to jet. This was the time to leave. They went out and were motivated to bring you there. Meanwhile, here, you're coming off a 7-game NBA Finals loss, and the player that transformed Myles Turner here, without question, and we said this all along, has been Tyrese Halliburton. It was just different. No longer you staked out in the corner, watching Sabonis work and people wondering why you're just standing in the corner thinking you just do that because you don't have anything else to do. Didn't realize that's exactly what you were being told. That was the framework of that half-assed offense at the time. So you didn't have to do that with Tyrese Halliburton. You didn't have Malcolm Brogdon dribbling the air out of the basketball. Let's set a high ball screen and roll or pop. And, hey, I'm going to stand here all day like a statue, and Brogdon's going to go in and do whatever he does, which certainly is not pass first. And if he did pass first, it was not going to be an elite-level delivery. Just wasn't. And Halliburton changed absolutely everything. So you're going to be without Tyrese Halliburton. You're going to go into a season where there is going to be some unknown. And who knows? I mean, maybe you do feel like in the past, maybe that played a significant role. Some of my theories would be, how many times were you up and out of here? One time in particular 3 years ago regarding an offer sheet to DeAndre Ayton. Now, I would also argue that it worked out really well. And I am one that recognizes just what he provided this team to help get them to where they are. It wasn't just about the absolute offensive no-show in the finals. It was more about how you got there. It was more about especially the last 2 years and how you got there. For me, at least. So, really, I think what happened is you just come to the realization, and maybe you look and you read things and you go, yeah, I don't know if I want to go back there with no Halliburton this coming year. That's questionable. How about Milwaukee? Look how proactive they want me. They're doing all this. I get to go play with Giannis. Giannis is going to draw 4 dudes defensively every time he picks up the basketball. So some wide open shots. The one guy I did play well against in the first round was Brook Lopez. I'm now Brook Lopez of Milwaukee. So those are my theories. I just think you say, all right, enough is enough. Now I'm leaving. And he has every option as an unrestricted free agent. But, I asked all these questions last week as to one thing, if you're the Pacers, you couldn't have happen is have him go for nothing. But evidently they didn't have much of an opportunity. And believe me, the question was asked at that conversation a little bit earlier with Kevin Pritchard if they were sideswiped. They were completely sideswiped. When you learn about it from a social media post on X from the NBA Insider, that is a T-boning at the intersection. You are absolutely sideswiped. So, as an end result, let's face it, most of you get what you wanted to get in the first place. There's going to be no more Myles. You're going to start new, and this is going to be one of those kind of seasons where whatever happens, your toes are still tapping. It's the Damone. It's not going to be about this season. It will be a season of record, but the season record, I happen to think it does matter because you have quality individuals in that locker room that I would expect more than I think a lot of other people may expect out of them. So I don't expect an awful season. I do think that they're going to be better than a lot of people believe, but I think we all know the venture in which this team is on right now. As for Myles, 2 things stand out to me, and I mentioned this going back to Thursday's show. And again, this is just my opinion. It may not matter an ounce. You go to Milwaukee, and even though it is a smaller NBA market, you have such an NBA spotlight on you right now and expectations. Here you're just a part of it. You're an important part of it, but you've been a part of it here. You go up there and you're no longer just a part of it. I mean, you are a significant piece. You're the piece of the puzzle where, even if it's not all about you, everybody in the world has now been dictated the terms on how it's going to be about you. And look what they did to get you. So you're going to have to deliver to a point to where I would even question he's going to be able to deliver because there's going to be a lot of stuff happening. A lot of stuff where you're going to have to show you can, get through. Some levels in which your confidence is down, have to battle through it, fight through it. Those things that you do well are going to be 100% have to count it on. And the things that you don't do well, that's going to be counted on as well. So, to me, this is a chunk that you're biting off to where you absolutely have to be able to back this up. Sure, it would have been, to me, you would get ripped here, you'd be criticized here, but you're always able to lean on if you wanted to. I'm not suggesting you would, but there's always, there's no Halliburton. Well, there's no Halliburton, so it doesn't matter. Oh, there's no Lillard, doesn't matter. Oh, there's no Brook Lopez, doesn't matter. Oh, there's no longer Chris Middleton, doesn't matter. There's no Pat Connaughton, that doesn't matter. Oh, well, Doc Rivers is their head coach. Doesn't matter. This is now, along with Giannis, all on you. Because you now are the reason why people out there are going to believe Giannis is staying in Milwaukee and not going someplace else. The visions of greatness here. And I think in closing, how should I put this? I'm most disappointed I have been for the past 7 or so years, trying to explain how important I think that he has been. And I do believe he has been important. And unfortunately, what's going to happen now, you completely lose your legacy. I was on Fox 59 last night with Chris Hagan, and Chris Hagan asked me that question, about what will people think about him. And it's all shattered. It's like when you leave your high school and you go to one of these academies, that's great. That's your choice. You can get paid or, you can play the best competition in the world, but your legacy at that high school is gone, done. Now, Braylon Mullins had the opportunity to do that at Greenfield Central. He stayed at Greenfield Central, and they didn't win a state title. But, man, every time you walk in that gym, there is going to be a reference to the greatness in which he played at the high school level there, and that is awesome. See, I would love that. I don't know how the high school kids end up bailing from it, but they do. It's not my decision, it's theirs. And this is going to be very much like it. A lot of what you have built and a lot of the recognition that you do deserve for what you have helped accomplish, especially in the past 3 years, it's going to disappear for most right here. Shattered. And you're never going to get it back. It's not one of those things where you're going to wait a bunch of years, then you're going to come to the realization because you're not going to Dallas, you're not going to New Orleans, you're not going somewhere out west. You're going to the bitter, the hated rival of the Pacers, and then you're going in this fashion, never, ever again. And that, to me, is going to be incredibly unfortunate. Got time to talk about that at 239-1070. The email address is jmv1075thefan.com. Inside the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. I know you guys have the summer vacations on the road. Make sure AAA has your back 24/7, 365. They do. Matt and Matt have you covered. AAA.com. Become a member today. So what's the guy's name from Memphis is coming up? I didn't write it down, James. You did.
DeMichael Cole.
DeMichael.
DeMichael Cole.
DeMichael Cole is going to tell us all about the brand new Pacer.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I can't wait for that. We'll do that coming up here at 4:30. We got Dustin DePurak coming up here. Now, is Boylan coming on today, or is that later on this week?
Pat Boylan?
Yeah.
I didn't ask him for today, but
You
I can
didn't?
certainly ask him.
No, you don't have to. We can do it later on this week. I thought we talked about that before.
I thought you said James Boyd.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I think I said Boylan.
I heard James Boyd, so
No,
I
I think you misheard everything right there.
Well, I can text Pat.
Well,
for
I
that.
think I'm just going to go ahead and take Milwaukee's offer then and take this break. Quick break. We'll come back with you. I'm just joking. 239-1070 is the number. The stream, the app. It's HD Radio. Hope you had a great weekend. We will document what you missed and get with what the week is going to be worth for you in sports coming up. Don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Nice.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
No, I'm John. Thank you for joining us. James is over there. Dustin DePurak. And join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. I think Boylan's good to go here at 4. Man, the Fever, the LA Sparks, what's happening there? The inability to close. It would be the story of my 90s existence, actually 80s existence, actually just in general. The inability to close, and we are closing in on the WNBA All-Star Weekend. And you would like to see, well, first things first, you would love to see Caitlin Clark get back one of these days. You believe how big the JW Marriott, the poster on the side of that bad boy is right now? That's well done. How much would that cost? James, could you ask how much that cost, I guess, Nike, to put that poster of that magnitude on the side of the JW? Do we know? Do we have a price tag officially?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, but I can certainly
What
look
do you think it is? You think it's like 50 cents a yard?
I have truly no earthly idea.
What do you guys, anybody know this story? Surely to hell somebody's asked about this before me. It's been up there for the better part of a week plus now. Just occurred. Anthony says those Brogdon years were brutal, indeed. I will say this, it's kind of weird, right? I always loved Anthony. He was on the show a couple of different times. I liked talking to him, but watching him play was brutal. Exactly. BT checks in. So Myles is one of the top free agents, and the Pacers waited to make an offer immediately. It's not smart. You snooze, you lose. Well, you know how I feel about this, but I also understand unless it was just a incredibly lowball figure, if you really wanted to stay here, and that's the key, because that's how they feel right now. It's like that had all the signs of a dude that was ready to leave. That's how I view it. A guy that was ready to leave, that wanted to leave. And who knows what that might be about. Maybe there's a great deal of influence in the past. Maybe it's Halliburton. Who knows? Maybe it's jackasses on social media. I give jackasses on social media way too much credit. I don't know. That's what I want to know, though. Don't you think it would be more than a low ball? Don't you think that your rep would come back and say, well, what can you guys do now? If somebody really deep down inside wanted to stay? Because, again, I can tell you that's how they feel. They feel as if, hey, he wanted to go. Has all the imprints of a guy that was ready to get the hell out. Now, nobody is going to play any sad violins because he's going to get paid handsomely. It is, you look at it my two ways, and maybe nobody cares. This whole legacy thing, that's just my thought. Maybe I'm full of crap. Maybe my legacy, well, your legacy at Eastern Green. Right, that's probably right. Those things would be important to me if I was at that level. Like my legacy here, where I penned such an outstanding, if you remember that article back in February to the Players Tribune that he had written about his time here and how meaningful everything has been up until this point in the 10 years. So when and for what reason did that all change? Theories abound. 239-1070 is that number. The email address, JMV at 1075thefan.com. To Michael Cole, also coming up a little bit later on. Jay Huff. I remember watching Jay Huff. Jay Huff got a lot of run early on because the reason why we were watching so much of the Grizzlies, we were watching Zach Edey. You're wanting to see Zach Edey. And you saw a lot of Jay Huff moving around too. I think Edey got dinged up too. Was it in the Summer League where Edey got dinged up? we'll find a little bit more, little insight regarding Jay Huff. His minutes did disappear late, but so did that team. I mean, they fired their coach in a rush. Their coach and general manager or coach and the organizational head got into it. And, yeah, you already have to deal with some jackassery there anyway. The entire Indiana connection, I guess outside of Jaren Jackson Jr., is it now complete? And Desmond Baines in Orlando. Jake LaRavia is in L.A. What's his nuts from Fort Wayne is still there, though, right? I think. Not actually from Fort Wayne, Indiana, but played collegiately at Fort Wayne. Now, we'll get that angle coming up for you in a minute. Meantime, 239-1070. I owe you guys some calls. Is this Scott Barnes from New Jersey that keeps getting a hold of me? Hey, Scott, you keep sending me stuff on social media. Is this you?
Just an email.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not bothered by it. I was just curious. Is this the Scott Barnes that's been trying to get a hold of me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, go ahead, Scott. Thanks for the call. Thanks for listening.
And you are?
Huh?
You're John?
I'm John.
Okay. Well, as far as Connor Daly, the night he had a press conference about what he did, the comment he made, he said that a friend of his or something also has that problem, and he said, because he's halfway to 100.
Hey, Scott, I don't really know what you're talking about.
Connor Daly.
I know who Connor Daly is, yes. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm not being flip or trying to make a joke out of it. I just legitimately don't know what you're talking about.
He had a little too much to drink, and...
Are you sure you're not talking about me?
I'm not talking about alcohol. He had too much fluid, and he, before even the car, he was even able to start the car.
You're talking about Road America when he had to pee in his uniform?
Yeah.
He pee in his, yeah. Oh, yeah. Who hasn't peed on themselves before, Scott? We all have.
Yeah, in his case, he made a comment saying that he was referring to another person saying, because so-and-so is halfway to 100. And I'm like...
I think he was joking about getting older and not being able to control his bladder. Maybe? Was that it?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I'm just... it's just nowadays you see so many commercials for young adults that are active.
Hey, I got news for you. I think I peed on myself like 5 hours ago. It was accidental, but it happens often to me, Scott. I'm not afraid to say it.
And you don't. I do a little too. So do you have? Yeah,
Scott, thanks for the call. This is Scott from New Jersey, who was adamant about coming on the show. I can see why now, because that's what Scott just pulled off was a hell of a lot more entertaining than the first 25 minutes of what I said. So what do I have to say about it? I said when you got to go, everybody. That's the moral of the story. Hey, James, did you piece that at all together when you took Scott's call? Just out of curiosity, because
I have no idea.
I think it was great, and I'm not going to make fun of Scott at all.
I might make a promo out of it. I just don't know what was being talked about at all.
No. When you got to go, you got to go. To this morning, Eleni had workouts this morning. I took her. I got to go. She didn't want me to walk into Center Grove with her, because I'm the dad, old dad. I walk you with you. I said, I don't care. I'm going to go by the stage or the band room or something because I've got to go. And this is like something when you do get a little bit older that there's no stopping it. That's what happened. That is Scott Barnes from New Jersey. And Scott had been, again, adamant in getting a hold of me via Facebook. Hey, by the way, too, I thought that was an awesome call, so no making fun of Scott in New Jersey for that, okay? Let's just all understand that at one point in time in our existence, we've all peed on ourselves. Sometimes we knew it, and sometimes we didn't. Very true. All right, 239-1070. Let's say good luck to Tony with that follow-up right now. Tony, hello. How are you?
Hey, JMV. Well, I guess like a lot of people, I'm really disappointed with Myles. I've called you several times over the last couple of weeks during the playoffs, and I think we're both strong supporters of his and
yes,
wanting to have him re-signed, and it just sounds like he never really gave us the chance. And I think, as you all just mentioned, you kind of took a bit of my call here. That article in Players Tribune.
Yeah,
I have copied and sent that to so many people because I just felt so strongly about Myles, and now I really feel like I just been crapped on.
Well, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this, Tony. I have been a massive supporter too. I don't feel like that because I do want to hear. These are all theories I have, right? These are all theories I have, and it's based upon an educated guess because I do talk to people, and I have kind of found out a little bit of the background in which some of it I've explained to you right now, but I will also add I kind of want to hear what he has to say because he's still the same thoughtful dude that penned that article in February. I don't know what happened in these moments for him to at the very least not let them give the opportunity of a counteroffer because that was true. I mean, they did not get that opportunity before they learned about it via shams in social media. So I would want to go know what else he said. And this is all going to be unfortunate more so than anything else because the legacy of Myles here, which I think has for 10 years been one as we have seen it of grinding, getting through it, and then finally getting to the NBA Finals with this team and hugging Nancy Leonard after the Eastern Conference Finals Game 6 win against the Knicks. You know, all that now at the moment and probably, Tony, for the foreseeable future gets flushed down the toilet. It's gone.
Yeah, and I think that's just it. If he had just accepted a higher offer that we didn't match, I'd say, God bless you. I understand going for the money, your family and everything, but it just feels like we never even got the chance. And I will say, though, I don't know if you remember, but back in at the start of the playoffs, I told you that I had put down $10 on the Pacers winning the East, and it ended up paying. It was 4,100 plus 4,100 for them winning the East, and I collected on that. And it's now plus 3,000. I'm still going to put it down a little bit of money on that because
well done.
There's still 14 other guys on that team that are still a team and still take care of it and contribute. And I think they're going to be going after it.
Thank you very much, Tony, for the call. Yeah, that was a great follow-up to Scott's call from New Jersey about peeing. I have a firm belief in those guys in that locker room, too. Not to the level in which clearly without Halliburton and, now without the presence of Myles, however you feel. But I still have a belief. Quick break. We'll come back. If you're on hold, I'll get to you. Boylan's going to join us. We've got Dustin DePurat coming up at the 5 o'clock hour and more urinating on yourself conversation also on the way. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
You take drugs, Danny? Every day. Good. So what's the problem? I don't know.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, crank this up. This is like Fulton on his ukulele right here. That's what's supposed to happen coming up on July the 23rd. Everwise Amphitheater, downtown Indy. It's supposed to be Fulton, Earth, Wind, and Fire in September. This is one of the greatest songs of all time. I think it's only made better when Fulton plays his ukulele to it. He's supposed to be on stage. That's what he says. 7:30, July the 23rd, on a Wednesday. Number 9 at 239-1070. You're going to go on us. I mean, I'm going to go too. I've told Fulton I'm definitely going if he's up there with his ukulele. Oh, the catalog of hits for Earth, Wind, and Fire is incredible. Number 9 at 239-1070. You can go on us. Earth, Wind, and Fire. This is from Doug Love. JMV, I was listening to you on the radio a month or so ago, and you said you love a good fridge schedule magnet. That is true. I would love to drop a stack just like this off to you. Doug Love, please, if anybody has really good refrigerator magnets, I'll take them. If I could put my entire year-long daily calendar routine on a refrigerator magnet, let's do it. Shout out to Doug Love. Evidently has a bunch of refrigerator magnets. Thank you, Doug. 239-1070. Hey, James, give me Dwight on number 5 here before we go to the top of the hour. Hello, Dwight.
Hey, JMB, how you doing?
Dwight, I'm fantastic. Go ahead, brother.
Well, let me just say I listen every day
Mm-hmm.
from when I get off work about 2:33.
Right on.
And like everyone else, I was deeply disappointed, excuse me, about the Pacer run.
Yeah.
But, however, I'm ambivalent at times about my team. I've been a Pacer fan since the ABA days.
Right on.
I remember when we had Roger Brown, Mel Daniels, George McGinnis, Billy Keller. And so I'm 63, so I've been a Pacer fan since I was probably 7.
Right.
However, I was kind of glad to see Myles go. I just felt that, you know, when you need your core team to show up in the playoffs, as everyone typically says, the playoffs is like a different season. And, you know, you don't show up. Indiana's a very serious basketball state, and we love winners. And, you know, I remember when the Pacers had to put up the black curtain in Marcus Square Arena days because the attendance was just so low. And so I think we had a chance, a royal chance, to put OKC away in Game 5, and we didn't.
Right, Game 4. Game 4 in the fourth quarter is whatever. Yeah, the major malfunction. Hey, I tell you what, I do. Hey, Dwight, you call anytime, and thank you for the call. I think there are a lot of people that agree with Dwight, and that's why I don't think there are going to be so many people. Normally, this situation would piss off the world because that's the way that it went down. There was no counter offer that was even given. It was just I got this and I'm bailing. But here it's not because so many people like Dwight were ready to move on. We'll take a quick one. We'll come back. More of my thoughts. Boylan's going to be here as well. We'll go to Memphis for Jay Huff. All the info you need on an acquisition over the weekend. A big man for the Pacers. And Dustin DePurak at the 5 o'clock hour. I got more tickets for you, too. I'll explain next.
The Ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, Dave Matthews Band tickets coming up a little bit later on. Did you watch the Ozzy Osbourne thing?
I watched bits and pieces of it.
Somebody called in a Larceny Bourbon double shot power with Ozzy on Saturday night.
Good call.
I did not play Sabbath, though. I think I played something romance. I forget what the song was. I think it's Diary of a Madman with that. It's not one of my favorite Ozzy classics, by the way. See, since I remember everything, that would have been Chad in Brownsburg with the Larceny Bourbon double shot power of Ozzy Osbourne and Shot in the Dark, which I believe is the Ultimate Sin album. I believe. How was that show? Was it good?
It was pretty darn good.
So Jack Black went out there and did Mr. Crowley with a lot of famous dudes, musicians, kids, right?
Yep, he had a lot of kids behind him.
Morello's kid was out there too, and Scotty Ian's kid was out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Metallica was there. The guy from Disturbed was there. I mean, there was a lot of people there.
You do that?
I'm sure he did.
No, I heard good things about it, though.
It was cool.
Did you watch it all?
I watched bits and pieces of it, and I've seen a bit from the set Ozzy did, because he did 4 of his own solo songs, and then Sabbath came out, and they did their 4 songs, and it was, it's tough seeing him in that physical state, but it was still a really cool moment.
All right. 239-1070 is that number. Back to you guys in a minute. Dustin DePurac's going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. And a report from Memphis at the bottom of the hour. But Kevin Pritchard met with the media a little bit earlier today during Summer League practice. Hey, by the way, too, Brooks Barnheiser is going to join this show coming up on Wednesday. Brooks and his OKC Summer League team again later on tonight. The Lafayette Jeff product and friend of the show, the son of Mark Barnheiser, the head coach at Lafayette Jeff, the Northwestern player, 9 points and 13 rebounds in his debut with the Thunder over the weekend, which was very nice. I talked to Brooks a little bit earlier today. I think he's got games today and tomorrow, but he's going to join us coming up on Wednesday. I'm incredibly proud of him. And hopefully he continues to play well. Again, OKC, I think it's later on tonight. NBA TV is where you can check that out. Meantime, I mentioned Kevin Pritchard, the announcement of Myles Turner officially signing in Milwaukee, James Wiseman back with the Pacers. We got a lot to get to because on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he is the voice of the Fever, the Pacers radio network, and I'm assuming a tremendous fan of Ozzy Osbourne as well, especially the classics. Pat Boylan joins us now. Hello, Pat. How are you?
Hi, John. I'm doing well. Good to talk to you.
You got a big fan of Ozzy. What's your favorite? Bark at the Moon?
Oh, gosh.
Are you really a fan? I'm just kind of making this up as I go along here. I didn't know if you were or weren't.
I would not say I'm a fan, no. But, I can rock with some Crazy Train from time to time.
Oh, man. I have a tremendous JMV Takeover remix of the speech of Jack Torrance, Jack Nicholson in The Shining, where he's talking to Shelley Duvall, his wife, because he's going crazy, as the lead-up of the ramp to Crazy Train. It is awesome. I'm surprised somebody has not copied that and played it for themselves right there, because he's going crazy, and the first word is crazy from Ozzy right there. Sounds really good, buddy. I'm sure, as I can tell, it seems like you've heard it about 0 times in your life. Thank you.
I'll have to tune in. If you'll play it, I'll tune in.
You got it. Pat Boylan is with us. I want to start with the Kevin Pritchard presser from earlier today. I knew, because Bobby Marks had mentioned this on my show last Wednesday, that they didn't get the opportunity for a counteroffer with Myles. And some of the stuff I want to get down to, and we're not going to be able to do that today, is exactly what transpired. Got a lot of theories out there. I'll get to those in a second. But this team was truly sideswiped by the way that Myles left in this case, weren't they?
Sure seems that way. I mean, Kevin Pritchard used the word shocked. And by the way, I thought he did a terrific job in his media availability just because he was so candid, open, and honest. It didn't, to me, sound like a president of basketball operations that was expecting what happened certainly to happen. And I thought he spoke with a lot of candor in that regard. The word he used was shocked. He found out, like the rest of us, from the Shams tweet.
Is Pat still there?
Stated,
you disappeared for a moment. Go ahead and reset that. Go ahead, Pat.
You got me here?
I got you now, buddy.
All right. You know, and sorry, I don't know where I cut out, so I apologize if I'm overlapping here, but just the word shock that he used, I think, kind of just summarizes the whole situation. When the president of basketball operations feels that way, then it kind of gives you an idea, into kind of a vision into what exactly went down in those negotiations. And it's a disappointing outcome, no question. You know, Rick Carlisle was on this station a couple of weeks ago talking about that being the number one goal in the offseason, and unfortunately it wasn't something that they were able to get done, and it sounded like the discussions went and took an avenue that wasn't being expected. And the other thing that I thought was important to take away from it, and look, this was going to be the case in any scenario where Myles Turner was coming back, regardless of where the dollar number was, is that the Simons were going to go into the tax to do that. I mean, I think they only you could have Tony East on here. Maybe Dustin could break down the numbers better for you later. But any offer that involved Turner coming back also involved the Pacers going into the tax to do so. And so I think that's an important note to make as well.